It's the 23rd of January, 2026. I've got Patrick joining us today and Anthony. Patrick, how are you going, mate?
Very well. Yep. Gearing up for a long weekend with some beautiful sunshine on the horizon.
Anth, what do you got on the go for the weekend?
It's going to be warm tomorrow. Bowls has been called off, so might be sitting on the couch, sipping some beers, watching some live sport, maybe.
You may do more damage to yourself sitting on the couch than you would have in the heat playing bowls.
Most likely.
Too good, too good. Well, a little bit to talk about this week. A lot of it's on a global scale, but there's some data and news coming through at a local perspective as well. As per usual, I'll go through the market numbers that we have. Bear in mind the Aussie market hasn't opened as yet this morning on being the Friday, but we do have some data and look pointing to a bit of green for Australia today, off the back of last night, the US market doing reasonably well. Not too much direction out of the US, fellas, this week. Monday was a public holiday. Markets were closed. Martin Luther King Day over there. So we've only really had 3 data points of data during that time. Didn't really start the week off very, very flash for US markets. The S&P 500 was off 2%. Nasdaq was off 2 and a bit percent to kick things off on Tuesday for them, and a lot of it to do with President Trump and wanting to take over Greenland or whatever country it might be this week. But I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later. Market subsequently recovered after a few words were spoken at the Davos convention, and but still after 3 days of trading in the US, the S&P's down about 0.5%. Nasdaq is off about 0.3 so far with a night to trade. Back home, we sort of had to wait till yesterday really for Thursday's trading to see some green on the screen, and we're off 0.58% for the week so far. Bit of data come out yesterday with our jobs data, fellas, showing that employment is still pretty strong, that the economy is still going pretty well. What are your thoughts around ramifications for Australia with those numbers?
Yeah, it sort of looks like if it's good news if you're job hunting, but if you're juggling a mortgage, it's not good because that sort of leads to rates as well.
Yeah, I think that's right. 4.3 down to 4.1. It's the lowest since May 2025. I think get ready because rates will be increasing, I would suspect.
Do you think the next Reserve Bank meeting is on in 10 days' time in February? Do we think that the RBA will be bold enough to increase rates now, or do you think that they will sit on their hands a little bit, wait till things play out? There is one more big data point coming out on Wednesday next week, which is the inflation number. So I think that'll probably have a big bearing on what happens next.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. The inflation's still staying. Their hit word sticky. One would think, yeah, maybe they just play the fence again, just keep rates as is. But there's a lot of noise around that they will raise rates because we're at 3.6, so there's talk there's going to be 3.85, and it's just inflation's not gone yet. It's just playing hard to get, I think.
Yeah, I think the inflation number is going to be critical, and if they don't do it this early Feb, then it might be the following month or the following sitting.
Yeah, well, the bond market tends not to lie, and all sort of pointing to a very big chance that rates may actually go up. But there's certainly some economists as well. That are saying that they believe that would be a mistake for the Australian economy, and that rates should be going in the other direction. So we'll have to wait and see what happens next. But we, in simple terms, placing some term deposits this week for clients, and still pleasantly surprised that term deposits are still having a 4 in the opening number there. So clients are getting 4 point something percent. So probably a sign of where where the market actually perceives that things are going to land in that respect.
Yeah, definitely. And with the cost of living, I think it's a dangerous game at the moment because mortgage holders are doing it tough. But on the bright side, pharmaceuticals have come down. So the PBS was cut from $31 down to 25 per script. So that's the lowest in 20 years. So there is some relief out there as well.
Bit of common sense and relief for those that actually need it that need it the most in that sense. That's for sure. Now, this week we had the Davos, the World Economic Forum that happens in Davos every year. They always tend to pick a pretty cool place, and it's in the Swiss Alps, surrounded by ski resorts, and they go there. They talk about, I don't know, climate change and all sorts of things, and they all arrive in private jets and things. I think it's hilarious. But there was some interesting stuff going on, and no surprises there, although he was a little bit late to the party. Donald Trump turned up and had a few words. Did you guys catch any of that rhetoric?
Yeah, had a bit of a read about his activities this morning. They actually had to shut the doors. They're at maximum capacity, 5,000 people, and there were people running around, including heads of state, that couldn't get into the room. So the word is that he got a standing ovation. And after that was generally downhill, like the Alps. So I think there was some commentary which talks about he started off with grandfatherly advice and wasn't laying down the law too much, but quickly turned into slamming a few countries, leaders, etc., including a comment that said, if it wasn't for the US, everyone in the room would be speaking German. Whack. And then he started on Greenland and said that he was in negotiations to acquire. And I'm only asking for a piece of ice. It's only a very small ask, he said. He's entertaining, to say the least.
It sort of feels like volatility's come back in the market on what he says and what he's ready to create. Sorry. So when he first was in, the market was very sensitive to what he says, and now that went away. They brought out the taco analogy, and now it sort of has come back now as he's firing up again.
That's a good point, Patrick, because that's exactly what happened early in the week. So going into markets were closed on Monday, so lacking a bit of direction, and the only thing that was the talk of the town was the rhetoric, which was basically we're taking Greenland, and whether you like it or not, Greenland is ours. So President Trump got up, did the speech, and there was a bit of fact checking going on, and there was some cracking comments made there. Like one of them was that they actually gave Greenland back after World War II. Well, they never actually owned it technically. They did take part in defending it from the Nazis. I think that's where the German speaking German thing came from. He claimed that NATO has treated the US completely unfairly, that the US funds 100% of NATO, which is not right. And then actually said that we've never asked for anything from NATO, never given us anything. And then someone actually pointed out that under Article 5, from a NATO perspective, that if a NATO country is attacked in any shape or format, that is like an attack against all of the countries involved in NATO. And the US is the only country that has ever invoked Article 5. That was after the 9/11 attacks. And subsequently, the war in Afghanistan, which, a lot of allies, actually, NATO allies went in to actually defend and fight that war as well. And surprise, surprise, the irony of this, the Danish soldiers were amongst the biggest per capita casualty in that actual war in Afghanistan. So there were some outrageous claims. One that I couldn't go past is that, and I'm going to have to read this because it's a quote. Trump claimed that God is very proud of his administration's incredible year. I thought that was fantastic. And, you guys know me, I do like my own time. And I often say, how good would it be if you could just sit in a room, tell yourself how smart you were? This bloke does it on a world stage. He's the best, right? And then he brings God into the equation as well. There was a commentator out of New York, one of the journalists that actually said he ran the quote and he said Trump actually said, we want a piece of ice for world protection and they won't give it. Trump said, you can say yes and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no and we will remember. And the journalist actually wrote, that actually sounds like a scene from The Godfather. like you couldn't make this stuff up if you tried. So, look, Mark Carney, the Prime Minister from Canada, actually got up and had a pretty forceful speech and referred to the middle powers, of which Australia would be considered one of those middle powers, and sort of said, if we don't get to the table, we're actually going to be on the menu. So it was a note to sort of say, stop all these countries being completely complicit, etc., and actually stand up and say, hang on a second, what is going on? And there's certain things that are and are not acceptable. And, it's the complicity that's going to cause a problem for us. But the fact that Trump did say that he doesn't intend to go in and take Greenland, that he wants to negotiate a deal and use the art of the deal as he always does, that was why the markets actually bounced back from the minus 2%, particularly in the US, and we saw an uptick of over 1% the following day as soon as those comments were raised. So again, markets not really paying too much attention to fundamentals, but rather people's speeches and rhetoric and geopolitics, which is becoming more and more of what we talk about, as opposed to what does the company's balance sheets and revenues look like, which quite disappointing. But it, over the years, I just feel like, the longer I do this, the more I think about geopolitics than I have to around company fundamentals, which is incredible when you think about 101 investment.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And I don't know whether you saw also the creation of the Board of Peace, just another push towards his Nobel Peace Prize. Did you see that created?
Yeah, he's not letting go of that Nobel Peace Prize. He really wants that on the in the pool room. Yeah, he wants to take that to the pool room.
So he had around about 20 mainly prime ministers and presidents from mainly across the Middle East, but a few from around the country, around the world, that's set up and said that the world is a richer, safer, and much more peaceful place than it was just a year ago. And they've all signed off to the Board of Peace, which its primary purpose is to initially create the ceasefire in Gaza. Established a board, which interestingly enough includes UK Prime Minister Tony Blair and the World Bank President. But the UK came out and said they would not sign up.
There you go.
So I think that's relatively new overnight in Davos.
Maybe we can go to the trophy, the local trophy distributor, and just create our own trophies, eh? What will we award ourselves this week, eh? What about go on, sorry.
Sorry, I think Zelensky in his speech actually told Europe to stand up to him, stop being a bit soft, and tackling.
There were definitely some European leaders at Davos that actually had plenty to say and spoke their mind, to their credit, and and I think that was actually probably why there was a bit of pull your head in moments there during that conference.
Yeah, stay tuned. Interesting times.
What about closer to home, guys? Things are really settled here politically. We've got a couple of parties that are holding each other accountable, and heading into election time. That it's going to be fantastic. We've got fantastic options to choose from. What on earth is going on in Australian politics? Can someone please fill me in?
The coalition, like they could do a Stephen Bradbury this year and just float through and win the election, but yet again they have to have their infighting. They have to split it up, and then the Nationals say they won't agree with what Lay's doing. So I don't know. Is this another? They did this at the end of last year, or the year before, where they split for a week and then got back together. I don't know. So, what are your thoughts?
It's all over the shop.
It's certainly on, and it's become this on again, off again relationship. It's a bit like your mate that has broken up with his girlfriend 15 times, and he goes, "Surely you guys aren't back together again." You know how this ends. It's ended this way again, but it certainly shows how dysfunctional things are at the moment in politics, and particularly with the opposition now that they've split from the Nationals, and now there's call for Susan Lay's head as well, which it would not surprise me one iota if in the next short period of time I'm sitting here and we're talking about who the new opposition of the leader is for the Liberal Party. So pretty disappointing in truth, and like I said, really doesn't bode well for Australia in general when you just don't have that strong opposition and political parties that are actually working in the best interest to hold each other accountable and actually try and take us forward in some shape or format.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's a lot on their plate at the moment with all the new legislation they're trying to put through as well. So I think they should be focusing the time on that and not in-house fighting.
Yeah, 100%, Patrick. I couldn't agree more. But whether it's at a national level, whether it's at state level, we somehow find a way to blow things up, and one step forward and definitely three, if not more steps back, which is a shocker. But what do you do? There's not much you can really say apart from scratch your head, and the Stephen Bradbury and all this, Patrick. You mentioned Stephen Bradbury could be the One Nation Party. They could be the Stephen Bradbury and all this. The way things are going.
Yeah, I was about to say the benefactors of this is Pauline and Barnaby.
Yeah, 100%. Barnaby's looking pretty smart all of a sudden for bailing when he did. He's like, I told you that this should have been on the cards a long time ago.
Yeah, and it's really disappointing because it's key legislation that needs to be dealt with. Now, whether it's right or wrong, and it might need alterations or edits or fixes up, but it's disappointing that we can't find common ground couldn't find common ground to get to solution on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Agree. Now, what is happening for the long weekend? Am I allowed to say Monday's Australia Day? Do I get cancelled for that? I'm not. I apologise if I've offended anybody, but we have got a long weekend. What's on the cards, guys?
Oh, I mentioned last week that we wouldn't be talking about Kyrgios and Kokkinakis. If anyone watched the tennis last night, they got beaten in doubles, so win-win for Australia. Got beat by Aussies,
the win was
good.
the Aussies won that match as well, so it was great. Yeah. So you can't say we're not being nice because we were
the good Aussies
with someone else. Yeah, that's right. So that was nice to see. So I don't have to worry about that circus anymore. Still a couple of Aussies left in that draw. So Alex de Minaur's on tonight. I think he's got a tough game against Tiafoe if I got that right. In the third round. So hopefully he gets through tonight. And in the women's draw, we've actually got Madison Inglis, who is a qualifier who's made it through to the third round, which is pretty awesome. So we wish her all the best, and hopefully both of those guys can get through to the second week of the tournament and go deep. We love a good Aussie performance at the Australian Open.
And there's talks of a statue being erected for Djokovic, 100th win at the Australian Open. 10 times winner as well, so that's
there wouldn't be too many people that have had 100 wins at the Australian Open.
No, definitely not. And 10 slams as well.
I reckon the Department of Immigration will have anything to do with with the funding of the statue. given they kicked him out of the country a couple of years ago. Now they're going to build a statue of him. Nothing surprises me anymore.
As long as they vaccine the statue.
No, we don't do that, mate. Don't bring up the war. Anything exciting happening over the weekend? Anth, we learnt that your bowls has been cancelled, so you're free. You're off the hook tomorrow.
No, there's not much going on, but yeah, still, I think with the heat tomorrow, Victoria's still under. I did see some news last night that Victoria's still under a bit of threat for some fires. So yeah, a few catastrophes around the world with the landslides in New Zealand, the shark attacks in Sydney, and I was just reading this morning, an elephant in India is on the rampage and has killed more than 20 people, and they can't find it.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, stay indoors, keep cool, and keep safe.
Patrick, what about you? What do you got on?
Just a local party, some lamb and probably some VBs, I'd say.
Perfect. Now, in terms of serious bowls, Anth, for those of you that don't know, you know, the man is bowled at state, national level. He takes his bowls seriously. But I'm participating in a serious bocce tournament on Sunday down at Ryde Foreshore with the Wednesday Nights Football Club. One of my mates and I go for a kick once a year in a veteran tournament. Ant's had the privilege of watching us run around, if you could call it that. But one thing that we do is we get together on this long weekend. It's a bit of a tradition. We catch up for some bocce, and that usually involves bocce in one hand, beer in the other. That's just for pure balance, and usually a good day. So I don't think Sunday's too hot. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun.
Well, I would suspect that you'll probably play bocce better than you lot played soccer.
Mate, I've been arguing for the Wednesday nights bocce club as opposed to the football club for quite some time, but I haven't won that debate yet.
Well, good luck. It's a good game.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining us again. Bidding you a fantastic weekend, and whatever you do, stay well, stay safe, and make sure you keep hydrated with all the heat. And we look forward to next week. We'll probably have Luke back. I think he might actually be on a plane heading back to Australia as we speak. So he's had a quick turnaround, and his eyeballs are going to be hanging out of his head on Tuesday when the jet lag kicks in, as it always does on the way home from a European trip.
Thanks,
All
mate.
right. Catch you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good weekend.